They went to war convinced the outcome was already decided. In the summer of 1914, the German General Staff believed they understood modern infantry combat better than anyone alive. Their confidence rested on two pillars: doctrine and steel. German soldiers marched to war carrying the Gur 98, a precision-engineered rifle capable of accurate fire at distances well beyond 1,000 meters. It was a weapon designed for methodical destruction, and it perfectly embodied German military thinking. Every cartridge mattered. Every shot was to be carefully aimed. Infantry fire, delivered with discipline and patience, would dismantle the enemy long before decisive contact was made. German doctrine elevated marksmanship to a science. Soldiers trained to engage individual targets at ranges most armies considered unrealistic. 600 meters was not theoretical. It was expected. Military theory emphasized controlled fire, strict ammunition discipline, and precision over volume. Suppressive fire was viewed as wasteful, even amateurish. The Gur 98 reinforced this philosophy. Its front-locking bolt system, tight manufacturing tolerances, and powerful 7.92 mm cartridge offered excellent ballistic performance, particularly at long range. German marksmen took pride in their ability to hit what others could barely see. From this perspective, British infantry doctrine appeared deeply flawed. German military observers who attended British exercises reported, with barely concealed disdain, that British training prioritized rapid fire at relatively close ranges. To German eyes, this looked like desperation. Why emphasize speed unless accuracy was lacking? Why train soldiers to fire rapidly unless they were incapable of continental standards of marksmanship? The German military press occasionally mocked British musketry, portraying it as a relic of an earlier age when massed fire compensated for individual weakness. The numbers seemed to support the criticism. Most modern armies fielded rifles with 5-round internal magazines loaded by stripper clips. The Gur 98 followed this standard. The British short magazine Lee-Enfield did not. It carried 10 rounds, a capacity German theorists considered excessive and unnecessary for trained marksmen. British doctrine demanded that infantrymen fire 15 aimed shots per minute, a rate German analysts judged physically implausible under field conditions. Accuracy, they argued, would inevitably collapse at such speed. German confidence was reinforced by recent history. Military theorists had studied the Boer War closely, noting British difficulties against Boer fighters armed with Mauser rifles. The lesson appeared obvious. Precision shooting at range would dominate future battlefields. Germany invested heavily in training programs that turned conscripts into capable sharpshooters. By 1914, infantry companies contained men expected to hit individual targets at distances the British barely trained for. The British Mad Minute only deepened German skepticism. 60 seconds. 15 aimed shots onto a 12-inch target at 300 yards. To German observers, it looked like training for panic, not combat. Fire discipline, they believed, required calm shot placement, not frantic bolt work. When the two armies met, German commanders fully expected their disciplined rifle fire to destroy British units long before volume of fire could matter. They trusted their rifles. They trusted their training. They trusted their theory. What they failed to understand was that British rifle doctrine was not outdated. It was simply built for a different reality. The short magazine Lee-Enfield represented a fundamentally different approach to infantry combat. Where Continental rifles used front-locking lugs, the Lee-Enfield locked at the rear of the receiver. This seemingly minor mechanical difference transformed how the rifle could be operated. The bolt required only a short 60-degree lift, followed by an exceptionally smooth rearward pull. The result was speed, not frantic speed, but efficient speed. The rifle stayed on target. The shooter's position barely shifted. British soldiers learned to cycle the bolt in a continuous, fluid motion. Up, back, forward, down, fire. Thousands of repetitions turned the action into reflex. The Lee-Enfield's legendary smoothness allowed rapid manipulation without force or hesitation. Combined with its 10-round magazine, the rifle could sustain fire while opponents paused to reload. Where a German soldier stopped after 5 shots, the British rifleman kept firing. The rifle itself was shorter and more maneuverable than the Gur 98, reducing fatigue during sustained fire. Its slightly looser tolerances sacrificed marginal long-range accuracy in exchange for reliability under mud, dust, and neglect. British designers understood that battlefields rewarded weapons that worked under stress, not rifles that excelled only on pristine ranges. None of this mattered without training. British musketry instruction was relentless. Every infantryman, regardless of rank or experience, was required to meet the Mad Minute standard annually. 15 hits was the minimum. Many exceeded it, some dramatically so. Through dry-fire drills, progressive live-fire training, and unforgiving standards, soldiers learned to deliver rapid, aimed fire with consistency. The 12-inch bullseye at 300 yards represented a man's torso. Near misses counted for nothing. By the time war came, British infantrymen did not hope they could fire quickly and accurately. They knew it. As August 1914 approached, German infantry prepared to demonstrate what they believed was the superiority of precision over volume, discipline over speed, theory over practice. They were about to discover that practical combat effectiveness had a way of shattering assumptions. And when the first shots were fired, the battlefield would deliver a lesson no staff college had prepared them for. That misunderstanding did not fade with the smoke at Mons. It only deepened. The Mad Minute represented peak performance, but British doctrine never expected soldiers to fight in 60-second bursts. Training demanded something far more practical: sustained fire. Infantrymen were required to maintain 8 to 10 aimed shots per minute over long periods, conserving strength and ammunition while keeping pressure on the enemy. Efficient breathing, stable body position, and smooth bolt work made endurance possible. This was not spectacle shooting. It was preparation for attritional combat. That preparation was tested brutally on the morning of August 23, 1914. Along the Mons-Condé Canal near the Belgian mining town of Mons, the British Expeditionary Force took up defensive positions behind the waterway. Roughly 70,000 British troops and 300 guns faced the German First Army, more than 160,000 strong and supported by twice the artillery. German commanders expected a brief engagement. The British were viewed as a minor obstacle, a professional colonial force unsuited to continental warfare, to be brushed aside as the German right wing swept into France. German infantry advanced exactly as doctrine prescribed. Dense formations moved forward in disciplined waves, officers maintaining control while preparing to deploy firepower at effective range. The columns were impressive in their precision and confidence. German soldiers had been assured the British presence was negligible. Resistance, if encountered at all, would be fleeting. It was anything but. As German units closed the canal, British riflemen opened fire. The volume was shocking. Bullets tore into the advancing formations with an intensity that made no sense given the number of defenders. Men fell in clusters. Officers shouted orders over the noise, some urging the advance to continue, others demanding troops find cover and locate the machine guns that had to be responsible for such devastation. But there were no massed machine guns. British battalions possessed the same basic allocation as their German counterparts, 2 per battalion. What the Germans were facing was disciplined, sustained rifle fire delivered by professional soldiers who had turned the Mad Minute into muscle memory. Along the canal, British companies poured aimed fire into dense German formations at rates German doctrine simply did not believe bolt-action rifles could achieve. At Nimy Bridge, Lieutenant Colonel David Campbell of the 9th Lancers watched repeated German attempts to force a crossing. Wave after wave advanced into what he described as an unbreakable wall of fire. British riflemen maintained such consistency that bodies piled so densely in places that further movement became impossible. German reports struggled to explain what had happened. Units repeatedly cited devastating machine gun fire from British positions that, when examined later, contained none beyond the standard issue. The 75th Infantry Regiment reported being stopped cold by automatic weapons that simply were not there. In reality, they had advanced against 4 British rifle companies, each man capable of firing 15 to 20 aimed rounds per minute. The mathematics were unforgiving. A British battalion could theoretically deliver tens of thousands of rounds per minute at peak output. Even at reduced combat rates, The sheer volume rivaled that of massed machine guns. The psychological effect was immediate. German soldiers advanced into fire they could neither suppress nor evade. Traditional tactics, maneuver, return fire, controlled advance, collapsed under the weight of incoming rounds before German rifles even reached effective range. This firepower was not accidental. It was the result of biomechanics refined through relentless training. British instructors eliminated wasted motion from every step of the firing cycle. Thumb placed atop the bolt knob, pushing up and back in one smooth motion. Palm driving the bolt forward and down without shifting grip. The rifle stayed planted in the shoulder, sights barely drifting off target. Bolt, sight, trigger, repeated in a seamless rhythm. Breathing was integrated into the process. Shooters worked the bolt during the inhale, settled the sights during the exhale, and fired during the natural pause when the body was still. Under stress, this rhythm held. When conscious thought faltered, trained patterns took over. Reloading was the only true interruption. After the 10th round, most soldiers reloaded using 2 5-round stripper clips with the magazine still in place. The process took seconds. Magazine swaps were possible but rarely used. Spare magazines were limited, and stripper clips aligned better with sustained fighting. The key advantage was efficiency. British soldiers could maintain 12 to 15 aimed shots per minute for long periods without exhaustion. German intelligence struggled to reconcile reality with doctrine. Casualty reports described overwhelming automatic fire, yet captured positions revealed few machine guns. Some officers believed the British were withdrawing their weapons before being overrun. Others speculated about new portable automatic arms not yet identified. The simplest explanation, that British riflemen could fire faster than expected, was largely dismissed. It contradicted everything German theory taught about bolt-action rifles. This miscalculation reshaped German tactics. Infantry began advancing with extreme caution, dispersing formations to avoid catastrophic losses. Artillery bombardments grew heavier and longer, aimed at suppressing machine guns that often did not exist. Assaults were delayed while commanders waited for perceived automatic weapons to be neutralized. Ammunition was expended against rifle pits mistaken for machine gun nests. By early autumn 1914, German infantry doctrine looked nothing like it had in August. Advances were slower, more deliberate, and heavily reliant on artillery preparation. Every British position was assumed to be saturated with automatic fire until proven otherwise. The irony was complete. British rifle training had forced a fundamental evolution in German tactics, one designed to counter a weapon system that existed largely in German imagination, not in British infantry units. And that misunderstanding would continue to shape the battlefield long after the smoke of Mons had cleared. That advantage became even clearer when the rifles themselves were finally measured against reality. The Gur 98 genuinely earned its reputation for accuracy. German manufacturers built it to extraordinary standards, machining components with tolerances closer to precision instruments than mass infantry weapons. Its front-locking bolt placed the locking lugs immediately behind the chamber, creating an exceptionally rigid action. This rigidity minimized movement during firing and translated directly into consistent shot placement. Combined with the powerful 7.92 by 57 mm cartridge, the rifle delivered excellent long-range ballistics, outperforming the British .303 round at distances beyond 600 meters. German designers viewed the 5-round internal magazine as a deliberate advantage, not a limitation. Military theory emphasized fire discipline. 5 rounds encouraged deliberate shooting and discouraged wasteful fire. Stripper clips allowed quick reloads while keeping the rifle slim, balanced, and mechanically reliable. On paper, the system was sound. In combat, its limitations became impossible to ignore. The same front-locking bolt that provided rigidity also demanded greater effort to operate. Unlocking required a long 90-degree bolt lift, nearly twice that of the Lee-Enfield. This increased motion disrupted the firing position and slowed the cycle. Each shot required more movement, more time, and more physical effort. The result was a lower practical rate of fire. Even well-trained German infantrymen struggled to exceed 10 to 12 aimed shots per minute. By continental standards, this was respectable. Against British riflemen, it was disastrous. The disparity compounded during reloads. After 5 shots, German soldiers had to pause and reload just as British opponents were settling into their firing rhythm. While a German rifleman worked a stripper clip into his magazine, the British soldier opposite was firing his 6th, 7th, and 8th rounds. Across an entire company front, those seconds translated into overwhelming fire superiority. Range advantages proved largely irrelevant. The Gur 98 could hit targets at extreme distances, but infantry combat almost never occurred there. British doctrine had correctly identified 300 to 500 meters as decisive ranges. At those distances, both rifles could reliably hit man-sized targets. The marginal accuracy advantage of the German rifle simply did not matter. What mattered was how quickly fire could be delivered and sustained. German soldiers learned this lesson repeatedly. Survivors described feeling pinned down by a volume of fire they could not answer. Attempts to return fire were constantly interrupted by the need to seek cover. Mons was not an anomaly. During the First Battle of Ypres in late 1914, elite German units, including the Prussian Guard, encountered the same phenomenon. Understrength British battalions halted attacks through rifle fire so intense that German officers again reported facing large numbers of machine guns. At Polygon Wood in November, the British Grenadier Guards held positions against overwhelming numbers. German estimates of British strength were inflated by as much as threefold, a direct result of misinterpreting rifle fire volume. The transition to trench warfare only magnified the Lee-Enfield strengths. Prepared positions, stable firing platforms, and ready ammunition allowed British soldiers to sustain rapid fire even more effectively. The 10-round magazine proved invaluable when targets appeared suddenly and briefly. The Somme revealed another dimension of this advantage. British and Commonwealth troops advancing under extreme stress operated their rifles instinctively. At places like Delville Wood, rapid rifle fire repeatedly shattered German counterattacks. South African units, many composed of men familiar with civilian rifles, adapted quickly to Lee-Enfield techniques and used them with devastating effect. German doctrine adapted accordingly. Machine guns became the cornerstone of defensive planning, a tacit admission that German rifles alone could not match British fire rates. British units, by contrast, could rely heavily on rifle fire, allowing machine guns greater flexibility or compensating when they were absent altogether. This imbalance persisted well into the later years of the war. By 1917, at battles such as Arras, British rifle dominance remained evident. German after-action reports again cited heavy automatic fire where only a handful of machine guns were present. Ammunition expenditures by British riflemen shocked German analysts, who had believed such rates impossible with bolt-action weapons. The psychological impact endured. German infantry approached British positions cautiously, knowing that even small units could generate disproportionate firepower. This hesitation created tactical opportunities the British repeatedly exploited. The broader consequences were profound. Pre-war military thought had emphasized accuracy and range. The Western Front proved that sustained rapid fire at practical distances mattered far more. Armies worldwide took note. American forces entered the war with the Springfield, a Mauser-derived rifle reflecting German philosophy. Combat experience alongside British troops quickly highlighted its limitations. Post-war U.S. rifle development shifted decisively toward sustained fire, culminating in the semi-automatic M1 Garand. Other powers reached similar conclusions. Soviet designers studying Western Front reports prioritized reliability and fire rate over extreme accuracy. The Lee-Enfield itself remained in British service through the Second World War, proving reliable in deserts, jungles, and European battlefields where more complex rifles often failed. Its influence extended beyond hardware. Modern infantry training still reflects the principles British musketry perfected: rapid target acquisition, controlled fire, and sustained accuracy under stress. Even German analysis after 1918 acknowledged the mistake. Interwar rifle training sought higher fire rates, and the Karabiner 98K incorporated changes aimed at faster handling. The lesson endured. Infantry combat is decided not by theoretical precision at extreme range, but by the ability to deliver sustained, accurate fire when it matters most. At Mons, Ypres, and beyond, British training transformed the Lee-Enfield into far more than a rifle. It became a system, one that permanently reshaped how wars are fought.